Stateful session bean lifecycle in Jakarta Enterprise Bean, so EJB. Can see a stateful session bean lifecycle. Stateful session bean is a session bean that maintains conversational state. This figure shows the stateful session bean lifecycle. There are 4 states. Does not exist, method ready, in transaction, and passive. To transaction from does not exist state to the method ready state, following occurs. The new instance method is invoked, dependency injection occurs if any, and the session bean method is annotated as the pre-construct, or the EJB create method, if defined, is invoked. The transaction from the method ready state to passive state, the container chooses the session bean as eligible for passivation, and the following occurs. Session bean method annotated as pre-passive or EJB passive method if defined in invoked. The transition from passive state back to the method ready state, the following occurs. Session bean method annotated as post activate, or the EJB activate method is, if defined, is invoked. If the session bean remains in the passive state long enough to exceed the passivation method timeout, the session bean moves to the does not exist state. To transition from method ready state to the method ready in transition state, the following occurs. A transition is started from the method ready state to the method ready transition state. A transition is started, and the session synchronization method after begin is invoked. To transition from method ready in transaction state back to the method ready state, the following occurs for the success case. The transaction commits successfully. Session synchronization method before compilation is invoked. The session synchronization method after compilation is invoked with an argument of true. The following occurs for the failure case. The transaction is rolled back, and the session synchronization method after completion is invoked with the argument of false. Annotations such as post construct are applicable to EJB 3.0 stateful session beans only. EJB, the lifecycle for EJB 3.0 and EJB 2.1 stateful sessions beans are identical. The difference is in how you register lifecycle callback methods. The optional EJB 3.0 stateful session bean lifecycle callback methods you can define using annotations. For EJB 3.0 stateful session beans, you do not need to implement these methods. So annotation post construct. This option method is invoked for a stateful session bean before the first business method invocation on the bean. This is at the point after which any dependency injection has been performed by the container. Pre-destroy annotation pre-destroy. At this point, this optional method is invoked for the stateful session bean while the instance is in the process of being removed by the container. The instance typically releases any resources that it has been holding. Annotation at pre-pursue. The container invokes this method right before it pursuates a stateful session bean. Annotation at post activate. This container invokes this method right after it reactivates formerly pursuated stateful session bean. EJB 2.1 lifecycle methods as specified in the javax.ejb.session bean interface that a stateful session bean must implement. For EJB 2.5 stateful session beans, you must at the least provide an empty implementation for all callbacks methods. EJB create method. The container invokes this method right before it creates the bean. Stateless session beans must do nothing in this method. Stateful session beans can instantiate state in this method. EJB activate method. The container invokes this method right after it reactivates the bean. EJB pursuate method. The container invokes this method right before it pursuates the bean. EJB remove method. A container invokes this method before it ends the life of session bean, life of a session object. This method performs any required cleanup, for example, closing external resources such as file handles. And set session context method. This container invokes this method after it first instantiates the bean. Use this method to obtain reference to the context of the bean. Here you can see does not exist interacts with method ready, new instance, then dependency injection, then post contract annotation or EJB create method are passed from does not exist to method ready, and from method ready to remove or EJB timeout, then at pre-destroy annotation or EJB remove are passed from method ready to does not exist. Method ready interacts with passive. At pre-passive annotation or EJB passivate method are passed from method ready to passive. Post activate annotation or EJB activate method is passed from passive to method ready. Passive is connected to does not exist state. Timeout is passed from passive to does not exist. Non-transaction TX method is connected from method ready to method ready. Method ready interacts with method ready in transaction. transaction method, then after begin method pass from method ready to method ready in transaction, commit, then before completion, then after completion true pass from method ready to tx, method ready in transaction to method ready, rollback, then after completion false pass from method ready in transaction to method ready. As an example, we can now this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for watching it.